Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast, another amazing guest. I'm just finding all the Texas musicians recently, and I'm loving it. We have Delaney Ann joining us from Nashville. How's it going today?
Hey, good. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and chat a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I when I saw that you were, or when Sarah reached out to me originally, and I saw you were from Texas, I was like, okay, cool. Yes, let's get this on the books. And then for whatever reason, I
Love it.
couldn't figure out where in Texas you were from because I was just like searching and all this stuff, and I'm like, this is getting borderline stalkerish, and I just don't know where in Texas you're from. So when you told me, I was like, okay, that makes a whole lot of sense now. So
Yeah, no, so I grew up moving around a ton. I lived in Fort Worth for a while, is
mm,
where I got my start in music when I was 10. Lived in California for a while, back to Texas. I was born in Houston, back. I've just lived all over the place. So
fair enough.
it's hard for me to keep track of, much less you. So
Fair
I don't
enough.
blame you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what was it like growing up for the most part in Texas for you?
Oh, I really loved it. I picked up a guitar when I was 9 years old, and living in Fort Worth was, I think, the best place that I could have had a guitar in my hand at that age because the music scene there was just so fun. Fort Worth like has a special place in my heart always and forever. So yeah, I loved growing up um, around Texas people. Southern
Yeah,
hospitality is so real. So yeah.
fair, fair. So I'm going to ask you this question because I feel like you're going to give me a very straight answer to this one. Why did you choose Nashville over like Austin?
Okay, yeah, no, totally fair question. I grew up kind of going back and forth to Nashville a little
Hmm.
bit. Um, I was really lucky to start those trips. I think I took my first trip at 13, and I just kind of fell in love with the city.
Mm,
Now it has changed a lot in the last few years, but the one thing that has not changed about Nashville is the amazing songwriting community here. Um, there's just incredible opportunities for co-writing. I think it's an awesome place to be. And I do love Austin. I know Austin has a crazy awesome music scene as
yeah,
well. So I mean I'm not ever saying that I wouldn't want to be there at some point too, but
yeah.
for right now, Nashville, and I'm loving it so far.
Fair
So
enough. Fair enough. It's
yeah.
one of those things where I feel like Austin's got like the newer name that, like
Mhm.
it's the live music capital of the world or whatever marketing ploy they want to use. But
Yeah.
Nashville's kind of been there for a very long time. And it's like, I love Texas. Like, I mean, I've been here 4.5 years and I see why people love it. Like, I,
Yeah.
I don't ever want to leave. Like, I want to stay here, but I also recognize that Nashville is kind of like, that just makes a lot of sense right now, So it's just kind of like this weird struggle that I'm having.
No, for sure. And I do a lot of gigging back in Texas. I'm there like I feel like every other month I'm back in Texas just
Yes.
about to do some show or some meeting or something. So I mean, I'm pretty back and forth, but
Mhm.
yeah, and I think we'll end up back in Texas one of these days.
Fair.
Texas girl at heart, can't keep me away too long, but
Fair.
loving the Nashville life for now. So
Fair enough. It's one of those things like as you're kind of building your career as a musician, once you kind of hit a certain point where, like right now, it feels like you've got to be in Nashville.
right.
Once you kind of hit a certain point, it's like I could be in Bermuda for all anybody cares.
Yeah, as long as I can get where I need to go and travel the places I need to be. So yeah,
Yep,
for sure.
100%. So, growing up in Fort Worth and in Texas in general, was your family musical, or how did kind of music work its way in?
Yeah, so my mom always said the only thing she could play was the radio, and she is 100% right about that. My dad was gifted a guitar by his aunt in like I think the 80s, and that's actually the guitar I learned to play on, but he still has yet to learn how to play it. So not a musical family whatsoever. Definitely grew up around country music. My mom is Tanya Tucker's biggest fan of all time. I grew up around um, live music. They're big music fans, but they are not musical. And they would say the same thing. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. And so then how'd you kind of learn that you could sing or play guitar, play piano? Like, was it piano lessons and stuff like that, or how'd you kind of get introduced into the idea of playing?
Yeah, so I did the piano lessons thing, like the recital where
Yeah.
I learned Yankee Doodle and I did that.
Nice.
I hated it. My mom was on me like, you have to practice, this recital's coming. I could not do piano lessons, but a couple years later, I picked up that guitar by myself. I found a book of chords in there. I said, oh, you put your fingers here and you can, I
Yeah.
started to figure out, okay, this is kind of fun. And I wrote my first song quickly after that, and yeah, the rest is kind of history. So I just loved it. I loved performing from a young age, and it kind of got annoying to some people probably because I would not leave this thing at home. I would not leave my guitar at home. Like we would be going out to dinner and I'd be like, Mom, can I bring the guitar? What if someone asks me to play a song? And they're like, Delaney, you can't bring the guitar everywhere.
Fair
So,
enough.
yeah.
That's that's funny. That might be, hey, at least you were passionate about it, right? Like you knew
Yeah,
you wanted, this is what you wanted to do. And I think even at a young age, that's kind of the first sign of meant to be, I guess is the best way to kind of word that one. So
for
yeah,
sure. No, it was definitely meant to be. It's my favorite thing in the world still to this day. So,
nice, nice, nice. Now, is that I see you're holding the guitar there. Is that your original guitar that you got when you were young, or is that a newer?
no, so this is something I got in college, so about 3 years ago. And my first guitar originally, I saved up all my babysitting money, all my gig money, my dog sitting money, and I had to replace it. It was so sad. So it got damaged on a flight, like completely destroyed. But the airline was nice enough. They completely like reimbursed little 13-year-old me. I wrote in a letter and I said, hey, can you guys help me out? So they replaced my guitar. So shout out to Southwest. We love
Nice,
Southwest. They're awesome.
nice.
um, but yeah, and then eventually I kind of upgraded a little bit to this one. So
Fair enough. Cool. I'm glad they replaced it for you because that would be depressing. I grew up flying Spirit Airlines because that's who my dad worked for, and
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think that they would. I just don't think if that were to happen to me, I don't think they would take care of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It was definitely traumatizing for a little 13-year-old, but they were very good to me, so.
Nice, nice. And then just kind of growing up, was when did you kind of start writing music? Was that something that happened a little bit later in college and stuff like that, or when did you kind of start writing music?
Yeah, I started writing pretty quickly after I picked up a guitar. I wanna say, like, it was within days that I started really writing songs to music. I mean, everybody writes little songs when they're 5, and that's cute and whatever, but I started really, like, showing people songs I had written at, 10, 11, 12, and then I took all those songs, I think I had written about 100 songs by
Nice,
the time I turned 12, and, so I took those my favorites from that, and I put it on a little CD, and I saved up more babysitting money and gig money, and I released a little EP called Fingers Crossed. And yeah, it was definitely a very fun thing to do in middle school. A lot of kids were like, what is going on? You putting songs on iTunes? It was like a very weird thing to do at that age, but it was super, super fun.
nice.
So
So, do you still have copies of Fingers Crossed anywhere?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's still on Spotify and stuff. I have one right here,
Nice.
funnily enough. Yeah, I definitely cringe at a lot of this now, but at the same time, I'm like so proud of little little Delaney who worked so hard to put this out. So yeah, there's some there's some funny stuff on here, but I'm definitely still proud of it because it, got me where I am today.
Yes. I love the fact that you didn't like wipe this off the face of the earth. You know,
Oh no,
it
yeah.
that's awesome. That's really
It's
cool.
tempting sometimes. It's tempting sometimes, but I always have to remind myself, that those songs are the things that got me to, open for people and tour a little bit and do all these things at a young age. So I'm like, you know what, that's got to stay out there. That's got to stay on the
Sure.
internet, even if
Sure.
it has it. Like one of the songs is called "It's Not Me, It's You," and in my opinion, it's the cringiest one on here. And at the end, it's like little 12-year-old me going, maybe we could still be friends. Like I talk it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's that's such an interesting title because I almost feel like that's such a deep song. Like
yeah.
it's such a deep, complex topic to be talking about, even being like a preteen. It's like,
Yeah.
did you even realize what you were probably saying at that time?
Oh, 100%. Honestly, I think our biggest emotions are felt in those years. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah,
Like those are such complicated years. And, somebody could say like one thing that hurts your feelings this much and it feels so big. And you go
yeah,
home and you can write 8 songs about it. Now I'm old and I'm like, oh, they said something, I don't really care. And it doesn't get me 8 songs anymore. It's kind of
yeah.
funny how that works out. But yeah, it's a definitely an interesting little listen. If anybody watching out there wants to go hear some cringy preteen tracks, fingers
Nice.
crossed. Go
Is there any is there anything on that album that that you've listened to now as an adult where you're like, huh, maybe I should go revisit that and see if I could develop it or mature it or
Yeah, there's a hook on there that I was like even back then I was proud of, and now I'm like, okay, that's not so bad. The hook was I'm bad with names, can I just call you mine? Kind of a little like punny, fun
yeah,
love song. And I was like, oh, that could be fun now, but I think for a lot of these I'm like, let's let them live and I got plenty more good ideas in the works. So
fair enough. Fair enough. You know, it because it's always fun to kind of go back to those original songs that you were working on. And, obviously not everybody starts releasing music at 12, 13 years old. Like they're just not putting it out. But going back and kind of revisiting those younger years because every once in a while you just kind of stumble on something where it's like, I don't know what I was feeling at that moment, but let's look at this a second.
yeah.
So
No, no, for sure. Yeah, no, I love looking back. I also love looking ahead and, listening to stuff that I've got, in the works that isn't out yet. And I'm
yeah,
like, ooh, I can't wait to put these out. I can't wait. So yeah.
nice. Speaking of looking ahead, perfect segue.
Yeah.
You got a
Yeah.
you got a new song dropping on Friday. So this
Yeah.
coming Friday. What's the name of the song? What's the story? What can you tell us about it?
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. This one is called This Ain't Country Club. And I wrote this moving from Texas. I wrote it about all the fake cowboys I've met in Nashville so far. And it's really it's upbeat, it's funny, it's fun, it's got some humor to it. It's not meant to be taken too seriously, but I grew up around cattle and ranching. My grandfather's actually getting inducted into the Cowboy Hall of Fame this year,
Oh
which is
wow.
so exciting. So I grew up around some legit cowboys,
Nice.
and kind of moved to Nashville and I was like, wow, these people have some boots that have never seen any mud. And I'm going to write a song about it and call them out a little bit in a fun, lighthearted, loving way. So,
Fair, fair enough. I think ultimately because I when I left to move here back in 2019, I was I wouldn't call it getting razzed, but everybody was like, "Oh, you're gonna go get a 10-gallon hat and come back with a southern drawl and cowboy boots and stuff like that." And it definitely was very tempting,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's like, man, that's just not who I am. Like
Right.
I like flannel and a baseball hat. Yeah, maybe I could pull that one off with like blue jeans, but
Yeah.
anything other than that, it's like, maybe I'll go get a 10-gallon hat just because if I stay in
Yeah.
Texas long enough, it'll happen. But other than
No, I
that, it's
love it, and I think it's fun to dress up. I think it's like totally all in good fun, and like my thing is like, don't we don't have to fake the accent. Don't pretend to be something you're not. You want to wear the hat, you want to wear the boots. I think it's awesome. I'm like, go for it. But it's like, it's just funny to me that a lot of these guys really want to be so country, and it's like, it's okay to be exactly what you are. It's
yep,
fine, you know?
yep.
So
It
yeah.
it's we have a guy that does our weather for the TV station. He's born and raised like Central Texas. I think he was born in like Cleburne or something. And
Yeah.
um and so when he does his like weather hits, we'll share it out to like other stations and stuff like that. They're like, wait, he actually sounds like this? Or we thought this was all like
Yeah.
something you hear in cartoons. And I'm like, he sounds like a normal, like I don't know if I'm just deaf or uh accent deaf or something. I don't, because I it take like the accent has to be like super thick for me to hear it.
Yeah.
So
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. My grandfather was actually from Cleburne and he had an accent. So,
nice,
yeah, it's
nice.
for
That's really cool. So with this new single coming out, what's kind of running through your head right now as we're recording this, you're approaching the final week of like promotions and stuff like that. What's running through your mind right now?
Yeah, I'm just super excited for the song to be out, do what it's gonna do. I really want people to just have fun to it. I feel like I've written a lot of really serious songs, which is so great, but this is one that I'm excited to put out because I'm just excited for people to want to dance to it and want to laugh. And like one of my favorite lines in it is he'll say howdy on that first date and then put ketchup on his steak. It's just got some like funny things that I'm pumped for people to hear. And yeah, we're getting ready to do a little release party for it in Nashville, and it's gonna be a good time. So
Nice, nice. Is it
yeah.
building towards a bigger release? Like, are you looking at like an EPLP situation, or do you kind of see yourself staying in the singles realm?
I definitely have a long-term goal of an album that I'm working on. I truly believe in albums.
Hmm.
I think singles are awesome. It's so fun to put things out. And I've got a couple singles I'm going to be releasing throughout the year that I'm so excited about. But I really believe in the power of having one, cohesive body of art. I think is
Nice.
so cool. Something that tells a story and has a theme. As an artist, I just love putting songs together and making them fit like a puzzle. I think is really neat. So definitely want to do a larger thing. I'm not sure if this single will be a part of that or not,
Mm.
but time will tell. Time will tell.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So the one thing I did notice as I was kind of preparing for this interview, and since we're talking about the new single, this is your I'm not mistaken, this is your first release in a few years?
Yeah, yeah. I haven't put anything out since I think 2019, maybe
Okay.
2020. So
Was
it's
was
been a
that a
minute.
was that a lot of pandemic related stuff, or was it getting acquainted with Nashville, or was there?
Yeah, so I was I was definitely trying to figure out exactly my place in music. I at
Mm.
first moved to Nashville and I was like, I'm gonna be a songwriter. I'm not gonna focus on the artist thing. I'm gonna stay in this lane. But then the more songs I wrote, I was like, this song is so close to my heart, it would be like really hard to hear someone else sing it almost. I had just a few that were like that I was like, man, this is a song about my roots and my story and my family and where I came from. And um so I just, finally said, I think I want to put these out
Mm.
myself. So that's kind of how I started to get more into the artist side of things was, coming back and saying, these songs are my story and I think I'm the one to tell my story. So
Yes. Yeah. It
yeah.
I love musicians that do that where the songs are so personal to them that
Yeah,
it like genre set the genre aside as long as you're
right,
telling your story and you're telling it your way. I think
right.
that's the golden ticket right there. Like, and the quicker
Sure.
people kind of come to terms with that, like it seems like you already have, it's
Yeah.
I think that's the key to success right there.
Thank you. Yeah, I so agree, and I think there's something really special about getting to play those songs live even. You get to sing those and it's like, I don't know, it's so different than playing some song that I wrote that I feel okay about, but singing these songs that I'm like, this is my story, this is the what I really want to put into the world. This is the legacy I want to leave behind. So yeah, I've got a lot of special things coming out and I'm really excited to be finally releasing music again.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, it's there's just something interesting. I'm not going to say magical or whatnot, but there's just something interesting about the feeling of 2024 right now because it I don't know if it just means bad things are ahead or like 20
I
look out
hope
for
not.
2025 or something. I don't know, but it feels like right now like there's a lot of people that just have lot of really positive momentum and it's just
Yeah,
carrying over and anything is possible in 2024.
I agree. I so agree. I love it. I love the positivity. I think the world needs a lot more of that right
Yeah.
now. So
And it's so weird to hear myself say that stuff because when I'm at work, I try and be this positive, but
yeah,
I work
it's
in the news.
harder.
I work in the news business, so it's very hard to be positive about anything.
For sure, yeah.
So,
No, I have to limit my news intake because 'cause I'm like, "Ooh, okay, that's enough for today." The world
yep.
is definitely a very, very broken place, but, that's another reason that I love doing music is I love getting to kind of the world needs more light, the world
Mhm.
needs more love and positivity, and, so I'm just glad I kinda get to be a part of doing something positive because you're right, there is not a lot of it out there lately.
Oh, 100% agreed. 100%. Actually, that's like 1,000% agreed. I don't know. So,
Yeah.
um, so has are you how often are you playing shows right now? Like as you prepare for this, are you playing shows like consistently in Nashville or every so often?
Yeah, I'm playing a pretty consistent amount of writers rounds here in Nashville. I wasn't really doing a lot of traveling for gigs
Mm.
during the colder months, the December, January, but starting to get back into it and hit the road a little bit. The next show I'm getting ready for though is my release party, where I'm gonna, be doing a set for a lot of friends and family, and I'm excited to just kind of have a big party to celebrate all the exciting things going on.
Nice, nice. So, outside of music,
Yeah.
where's your favorite place to go that isn't like traditional, like the traditional Nashville experience?
Like not music related necessarily.
It doesn't
That's a good.
necessarily have to be music. Like if you have a Friday night off and you're like, you know what, me and my people, we're going somewhere. Where's that place?
Ooh, okay, okay, that's a great question. I think for me, I I see it's so hard to separate it from music because I'm
It doesn't
once you
necessarily have to separate from music.
okay, okay. Because I love going out to listen to live music. Once you live in Nashville, you have this new thing where you avoid going to Broadway,
Mm.
like, at all costs because it's just too crazy. Um, yeah, I love going to, like, smaller writers' rounds places. I love going to Sunny's Pub and listening to other artists. I love
Nice.
just getting out there and, going to just Whiskey Jam and all these things where you get to hear the super talented up and coming stuff in Nashville. That's kind of my ideal. Friday night. Like when all the friends want to go out, I'm like, let's go hear this band. Let's go do this
Yeah.
thing. Not to be all about music, but I really I'm a music fan as well, you
Mhm.
know, like a lot of my co-writers are people that I love to listen to
Okay.
in real life. So,
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's been a while since I've been to Nashville, and the last time I went, I had never been to Broadway. So I was like, okay, let's go to Broadway. It's a
have to
Monday.
do it.
It was a Monday, like late morning. It was like 11 a.m. I was like, Broadway shouldn't be too crazy, like on a Monday. And we went down, and it was like the most insane thing ever. And I'm like, it's a Monday. Why are you guys out drinking right now? This is
Yeah,
ridiculous. And then I it was
it's
like, well, yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, let's park. I want to go out because I wanted to go to the BB King, it's the Blues Lounge or
yeah,
whatever it's called. Because I was like, I've never been. I want to go. That's where we're gonna go. And then we pulled into the parking lot, and they're like, that'll be $30 an hour. And I'm like, nope, we're leaving.
it's no, it's crazy. And you know, Broadway is great because it supports a lot of really hardworking musicians are playing
Yeah,
on those stages. They're playing 4-hour sets and there's, you know, some intoxicated people yelling
yeah,
some really wild requests at them. But you know, like it's so it's great in that sense that like a lot of musicians, that's how they make their living and like more power to them. But
nice,
getting down to Broadway is it's a tough one for me to do in my spare time.
nice. So I'm coming down in a couple of weeks for CRS.
Oh,
Uh,
cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I've been asking people like, hey, where do I go? Like, obviously CRS by about 5, I'm gonna be done. So where do I go? And I've come to the conclusion the one place I have to go is Santa's Pub.
Yeah, you got to go to Santa's Pub. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It, it's one of those things where it's just like it's so random and I didn't know it was there.
Yes.
So
No, it's that's a classic. If you want a great dinner, I really like Adele's is like a
okay.
nice, fun dinner spot. It's actually the place that I ran into Taylor Swift once. So
Oh wow.
you might
Nice.
see some celebrity sightings when you're there.
Nice.
You never know.
Nice. That's cool. That's because everybody keeps telling me to go to like Hattie B's or something. And it's like the first
Yeah,
time I went to Nashville, I went to Hattie B's and I waited for like an hour just to try and get food. And I was like, no, I'm good. And then I went to McDonald's down the street and I was like just as happy. So
yeah. No, and Hattie B's, shout out to them. Great food, but those lines, man, they're brutal. They're
yeah.
brutal.
Oh yeah, 100%. But what are some of your hobbies outside of music? Do you like read
Yeah.
books, nature? What do you do when you need to decompress?
So, okay, this is gonna sound crazy, and this is a newer hobby, but I've gotten like way into home renovation.
Okay.
Like I put hardwood floors in myself recently.
Nice.
I like am way into like I don't know, like I put in new faucets, new toilets. Like I am just learning all the tricks of the trade. It
Nice.
is so funny. My friends come over and they're like, "What did you do this time?" You know, and I'm like, "I'm tiling this week. I'm putting a backsplash in." Like, I just love like DIY home renovations. That's my thing
Nice.
lately. I'm not sure where it came from, but there is nothing more empowering than being like, "You see that sink over there? I did that. I hooked that
Nice.
up."
Nice. My sister's into like reclaim, I guess it's like technically like reclaiming.
Yeah,
Where you take like an old piece of furniture and make it new.
upcycling, right?
Yes, yeah, that's what it's called. So
Yeah. Oh, I love that for her. Yes, that's so fun. That's
yeah.
so fun.
And then, it's always interesting because every time I talk to her, she's working on something different. And I think it's kind of
Yeah.
changed now that she's moved into her new house because they don't quite have the space that they used to. So it's kind of downsized a little bit. But it when she would like she used to tell me stories, I'd come over to visit and she'd be like, you see that table right there? I did that. And I'm like,
Me. I did.
It's like cool, nice. So yeah,
I know. I don't know what it is, but there is something so satisfying. Even like I've done some like electrical now, put in some new lights and whatever.
yeah,
There's something just satisfying about being like especially to my other like friends that are girls that are like, "Hey, I really need help." I'm like, "I got you.
yeah,
You don't need to call the guy. I got you."
yeah. The fact that you're willing to do electrical is amazing because doing anything like electrical scares the hell out of me. Like,
It is scary. I always FaceTime my dad and like make him like see I'm like, see it's off, okay? Like I
yeah,
turn the right breaker off. I'm like, I'm not this is not the way I go. So
yeah, right, right. Because I remember I was trying to install something and I've I tripped the breaker. I thought I had tripped the right breaker and I didn't. And I went to go do something and I caught, yeah, it was not good. Not good.
no, no, no. Oh, see, biggest fear right there. Yeah, it is scary, but yeah, there's something fun about saying, you know what, I want a new light right there. I think I'm gonna do it.
Now, modifying electronics to do cool things, that's what I'm all about. Like, I love going online and being like, okay, I can get this like pad right here and link everything together. And all I got to do is, oh, I want to stream, hit that button, stuff like that. So,
Love it. So
uh,
you got the tech thing going on. That's
yeah,
awesome.
tech and
That's
cooking. I'm
awesome.
starting to get back into cooking. Like, cooking is
Okay.
it was one of those things where in high school I thought that's where I was going to go was I was going to be a chef, and then I
Yeah.
kind of started talking to my uncle and I realized, oh, my uncle is 15, he can barely walk because what
Oh,
being a chef did, like, just
big
because he,
role. Yeah.
yeah, he had to grind it out. As he wasn't like a this was like in the 90s when being a chef wasn't sexy or cool, so he had to like grind it out. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm good. I don't need that life.
No, for sure. Yeah, I also love cooking. It's like I love trying new things. Today I made homemade wontons for the first
Nice.
time.
Nice.
Something new, something new. Been making lots of sourdough bread. I don't know
Nice.
if you've seen this is like a big trend right now. Everybody's making sourdough. I'm on the train. I love making some sourdough, but yeah,
Nice.
no, for sure.
I got a pizza stone for Christmas, and so I'm kind of building
That's
that
so
out where it's like pizza, and then you can also like make bread on it. I'm not a big sourdough fan, but
I get you.
so I'm half Polish on my dad's side, and so Polish sausage and kielbasa is like a huge part of my diet. And there's
Yeah.
these rolls that we used to get up in Chicago, but I can't find them anywhere. And I found the
Okay. Yeah.
recipe for them the other day, and I'm like, that pizza stone's going to get multi-purposed or purposed right there. So yeah,
Oh, I love those things. I always see those on TikTok. I love those things.
yes, yes, yes. Um, so as we kind of move forward with the release, what's kind of the plans for the rest of, I guess, heading into the spring and even into the summer?
Yeah, so I've got 2 weeks in Texas. I'm gonna be there doing some touring, some private shows. I'm super pumped. Going to hopefully be releasing something else around that time.
Nice,
And then through the summer, yeah, I've got some other projects we're definitely working on. Gonna be doing a little tour with some collaborators. Couple girls hitting the road will be fun, and yeah, just really wanting to do some solid touring this year. Keep putting music out, and
nice.
definitely keep writing for some bigger projects down the line. Yeah,
Awesome. That's really cool. I dig it. I really dig it.
yeah,
When you're in Texas, let me know. Waco's very centrally located, so
yeah.
as long as you're not like out in like Tyler or somewhere out west and like Abilene, I think I could probably swing a trip if need be. So
I love it. Yeah. It's so funny. You actually just said two song titles of mine, Tyler and Abilene. I'm working on a little Texas thing I've been doing.
nice,
So I can't
nice.
you'll have come out and hear those sometime when I play there.
Nice. That's really cool. So that's cool. I won't press anymore. I was going to ask
Yeah,
like
yeah,
10 more
yeah.
questions about it, but I'm going to just let it be what it is. Nice little teaser
Thank
for you.
you. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so you said I think you said beforehand, you come back to Texas quite often, or?
Yeah, I definitely do. Whether it's just, friends' weddings or
Mm,
lots of touring and lots of gigging happening there. I just love the Texas live music scene, and I think Nashville could take a few notes from the Texas live music scene for sure. It's really really fun to come play out there, and there's just such great people
yeah,
that love country music,
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
it's hard to not be there for
Oh yeah.
me.
It One of the first things that I absolutely loved about the Texas, like when I was living out in New Mexico, we were getting a lot of the West Texas artists that were kind of coming through because we were like an hour and a half from I lived in Roswell, New Mexico, so I think we were about an hour and a half from Lubbock or so, maybe 2 hours. I don't.
Yeah.
It's been
Uh-huh.
like 7 years, so um, but it's just the fact that there's these musicians, they make their living touring around Texas and they're comfortable,
Yeah.
they're happy, they don't really
Mhm.
have to go anywhere else. Maybe they sprinkle a little bit into southeast New Mexico, go up into Oklahoma a little bit, but other than that, they don't really have to go anywhere else. And they're the most famous Texas musicians ever, but nobody outside of like those three states really know who they are.
Yeah. No, it's so true, and I think there's something really cool going on in Texas with
Mm,
the sounds and the
mm,
artists coming out of Texas right now. I'm a huge, and I know she's from Oklahoma, but I'm a huge Caitlin Butts fan. She's got
mm.
a lot of influence on my music. Yeah, I just really I love the stuff coming out of Texas. It's what I listen to, and yeah, there's some crazy talented people doing some awesome stuff. So
Nice. Now, does the Texas red dirt scene kind of influence you as a musician as well, or were you more of a
yeah,
traditional country musician, or more
you
influenced by
know,
traditional country?
so it's really interesting you asked that because I think for me, it's something I'm really trying to bridge that gap between
Mm,
those two things a little bit.
yeah.
I would definitely say a lot of the songs I'm writing can go from I've had people say, that sounds like it was a country song written in the 40s. That sounds like Patsy Cline. That sounds, really old school. And then I've got stuff that it's like, man, that sounds like a Gretchen Wilson song. So I think for me, I'm trying to kind of blend that red dirt with a traditional sound,
Mm,
which I don't know. I love both of those things. So I'm right now as an artist trying to figure out how do I like equally incorporate these two
mm.
things that I love, and kind of bring them together in a cool way is my goal.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
So, this being your first release in about 4 years, or is it more closer to 3 years?
say four. I think
Cool.
four. Yeah.
Yeah. What's been the like biggest learning curve for you releasing music for the first time in the last 4 years?
Well, I think a big thing that prompted me to release was TikTok, social
Mm,
media. Has, totally evolved in the last few years. So TikTok just loved this song that I'm about to put out. It I think just hit about 500,000 views,
yes.
which I've never had that many in my life. So it was super exciting to see a lot of people seem to resonate with this message about the fake cowboys of the world. Um, and so, yeah, I think the changes we've seen in the last few years, like TikTok, are kind of the thing that made me get back in the game and say, hey, it's time for me to put something out again because
Mm,
people seem to really want the song.
yeah.
So,
Was there ever a
yeah.
thought was there ever a thought during that time that you weren't going to release music ever again?
No, I knew I would release things again one day. I just knew it had to be the right song for me to
Mm,
come back with after a while. I knew
gotcha.
as an artist, I was like, I really want it to be, I wanted, when I was gonna kind of relaunch, I kind of think of this for myself as a relaunch into music and as an artist, but I wanted the second that I relaunched to have a pretty good idea of, okay, this is the sound that I'm going for. These are the things I want to say. This is who I am as an artist. Because I think in the past I said, well, this is a good song. I'll put it out. Oh, I'll put this out. I'll put this out. So um, it's a very different experience now saying, hey guys, I'm here. This is what I'm about. This is my song. This is me. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it does and see what it does in the world.
Nice. I'm excited to see how people react to it. I'm excited just that there are so many musicians um that they let the pandemic kind of destroy their dreams. And, and I say that in the vein that after things started to open back up, they had been out of the game so long. And like, and that's
Right.
weird to say because like the pandemic, for most parts, like after a year, most people were back playing in some capacity, at least live in
Right.
front of crowds. Like, yeah, maybe it was like socially distanced or whatnot, but you know, for a musician taking a year where you can't play in front of crowds, that's like a lifetime almost, you know?
No, it's crazy. And for me, something that really inspires me to write songs is playing live. Like you have a great gig coming up. You're like, oh, I want to have some new material for this.
Yes.
Maybe I want to have one new great one. So, I think when you take that element out of the business, it does get a little hard to be inspired. But it's funny that you bring that up because I think something interesting that happened for me in my career was that the pandemic, songwriters started to actually be okay with a Zoom, right? They started
Mm,
to say, okay, I think it's okay if we don't meet face to face. And it opened a lot of doors for me,
yeah,
and got me some incredible co-writers that I still write with to this day. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that I'm really, really glad that people started in that time to say, "Oh, we can meet on Zoom," because it did open a lot of new people that I wouldn't have met.
nice. That's really cool. I mean, I can say the exact same thing, like and it's so weird to say about, oh, the good thing that about the pandemic was it opened the door for the podcast. Like we were doing the podcast before the pandemic, but
Yeah.
like right around March, we kind of saw what was coming and we transitioned the podcast to go virtual. And we've had more growth in the from 2020 to now than we did the
Awesome.
first 5 years of live and amplify. Like it was
Yeah.
just so crazy. And just to think about, now we have people like before I had to beg musicians to be like, hey, come do my podcast, please, please. And now we have people like reaching out to us, and it's like, I, I don't know what to do with this right now. Like, this is so bizarre.
That's that's a great problem to have. That's
Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's humbling. It's really humbling because it's like, it wasn't that long ago where I had to beg people to be on the podcast. And it was just like, so when people reach out, it's like, absolutely, yes. Like, I don't even like, I mean, I'll do a little bit of like brief research to make sure they're serious about being a musician. But after
Right.
that, it's just kind of like, okay, you've released a couple songs, you've been playing shows, and it's not like, hey, I just put out my first song and I've never played a
Yeah.
show. And,
Right.
so,
Right.
so yeah,
Oh, I
it's,
I totally I relate to that as well. When I first moved to Nashville, I had to beg people to write with me. It was like this thing where you're just casting a net. You're like, whoever wants to write, come on. And so now when people ask me to write, I really try to say yes,
mhm,
to a lot of people. I've had to, as my time gets crazier and more limited, I've had to really cut cut back on the amount of co-writes I can do, but I think overall I still always want to be somebody that will, root for the guy that just moved to Nashville. And
yeah,
because I think we all start somewhere. And I think it's really important to support those people that are still just starting and coming up. And that's what I love about what you're doing is, supporting independent artists, supporting people that are just trying to make this crazy thing happen. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You brought up you've mentioned a couple different times about co-writes. How do you like to prepare going into a co-write, or how do you approach when you know you have a co-write coming up? Do you like to prepare? Do you like to go in like a blank slate?
So I usually come in with my hook book, which is where
Oh,
I've got a little book of all the things that are going through my brain lately. But I mean, yesterday I had a co-write and this idea popped into my head literally as I was walking in the door. So I think it's always so different, but co-writes are so fun for me because it keeps me sharp as a writer and yeah, you never know what you're gonna get, and I think it's cool to collaborate because you always walk away with something a little bit different than you would have written by yourself. So
fair. Very
yeah.
fair. Very, very fair. So I don't want to keep you too much longer here because it is Friday night. I know I don't tend to go out on Friday nights just because I know what happens out there, but it is what it
Yeah,
is.
no, but
Um,
you see the news. No, this is the only party I want to be at tonight, Tom.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Where can people find you online? Where can they listen to your music? Where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, if y'all want to connect on social media, you can follow me at Delaney and Music and on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, whatever
Nice.
you use to stream music. It's at just Delaney Ann. But yeah, I would love to connect. Shoot me a message, say hello.
Nice.
I would love it.
Awesome. I love the fact that you gave Deezer a shout out. I used to rock with Deezer really hard when I had Cricket because they give you a free like Deezer
Yeah,
subscription or whatever. And I was like, yes, cool. I don't have to pay
sure.
for something. And then I realized like not a lot of people knew what Deezer was, and I was like, oh, okay. I see how it is. So
Yeah.
um what's been your before we wrap this up, what's been your favorite social media platform recently? Like where are you kind of spending a lot of your free time scrolling?
So I try to limit my scrolling. We all do, but the app that just sucks me in the most is definitely TikTok. Um, I just I love to scroll on TikTok. You never know what you're gonna get over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love how chaotic it is. You'll go from like a workout video to a hilarious, kid eating ice cream to like 10 organization tips. Like it's just like so chaotic, but that's why I like TikTok. So
Nice. I'm very strategic when I open up that TikTok app. I have like 4 or 5 people that it's like, okay, these are
yeah,
who I want to go see. I want to see if they have a new video. If not, I'm out. Like because I could
it's
fall into that trap too, where
cool.
it's like,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness. No, it's my New Year's resolution is definitely like limiting my screen time and just trying to be more present. Aren't we
yeah,
all? It's
yeah.
2024. It's tough to not just endlessly scroll, but yeah.
I I made a very conscious choice this morning when I went into work. I was like, I was frustrated about something, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go into work. All I'm gonna do is work. I'm gonna set my phone here. If it rings, I'll answer it. Other than that, I'm not touching my phone. And I
I like that.
came out of work at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And normally my phone is sitting at like 2% battery by the end of the day. I walked out of work today and I still had 60% battery. And I'm like, well, geez, I know where all my battery juice is going.
Yes, no, for real. I've started to try this new habit where Wednesday night at like 5, I have a church group that I meet with, and so I turn my phone off for that, and I try to not turn my phone on until the next morning
Wow.
at 9 a.m.
Nice.
Like to go a whole night, and it's helped my brain so much. I feel like people need to talk about it more, how like bad the endless scrolling can be for us. So I don't know if anybody's watching and you needed a little reminder today to stop endlessly scrolling. It's
Yep.
okay.
Yep. When I'm with my friends, like if I'm in a situation where I'm away for the weekend and I'm around my friends, I put my phone down. Like I understand that I'm away, so somebody's gonna call me and I gotta answer or whatever. But for the most
Right.
part, I put my phone down and it's like, nope, everybody I need to talk to is here. I don't need to go on
Right.
social.
Yes. Oh, that's so good.
So,
That's so good. I love that.
and sometimes it really helps when I'm in a really shady like cell area. And it's like, oh yeah, I don't have cell service. Cool. And
Yeah.
then my phone dies in 12 minutes because it's trying to find
Yeah.
a signal.
Sig-
So, but it's been an absolute blast chatting with you. I really appreciate your time. If you want to plug your socials one last time here before we jump off, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, thank y'all for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us. You can follow me at Delaney and Music if you want to find everything in one place, DelaneyAnn.com.
Awesome. Well, Delaney, really appreciate you. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you're listening to this after we recorded, Delaney's Spotify and Instagram will be in the description. So if you want to reach out to her and listen to all the crazy cool music that she has out right now and all the new stuff she's going to be releasing here in 2024, you know, uh, definitely it'll be right there for you. And give it a follow, give it a like, give it all the things. And once again, thank you all so very much. And we will catch you all later.
Thanks, y'all.